Dear students, welcome to Learning Management System, Department of Collegiate and Technical Education. The subject is Analog Electronics, Unit number 4, Rectifiers, Filters and Regulators. This is the session number 32. Myself, Mohan Kumar MR, Lecturer, HMS Polytechnic, Government Aided, Tumkur. The topics that are to be covered in this session are Regulator Definition, Working of 7805, Voltage Regulator, Operating voltages of 7809, 7812, 7905, 7912 voltage regulators. Before going for today's session, let me have some quick recap over a previous session. In previous session, we had a discussion on C filter and pi filter. We know that filter means what? Filter is a device which remove the unwanted AC content which is present in the DC output. The C filter means it is a capacitor filter which is used to block the AC contents which is getting from the rectifier output, and it is the output of the filter is given to the regulator circuit. This C filter means capacitor filter, which actually consists of a single shunt capacitor in between the load and the rectifier. Here, this is the rectifier which is present in the circuit. This rectifier may be a half wave, full wave, or a bridge rectifier. Let us consider a bridge rectifier circuit here. If we consider a bridge rectifier circuit, we know that the bridge rectifier circuit consists of four diodes, that is diode D1, D2, D3, D4. During positive half cycle, the diode D1 and D2 is said to be under forward bias condition. When the diodes are said to be under forward bias condition, at that time the capacitor C, this will going to get charged. The diode D3 and D4 is said to be under reverse bias condition. Hence, the diodes which acts gives only the D1 and D2 for the load. Here, the diode D1 and D2 which makes the capacitor to charge under forward bias condition. Here, during first quarter cycle, that is from 0 to pi by 2, 0 to pi by 2, it is considered as first quarter cycle. At that time, capacitor starts charging. If the capacitor starts charging at 0 to pi by 2, under diode D1 and D2 are said to be under forward bias condition. Again, for when the diodes are said to be under reverse bias condition, the diode from the in the next quarter cycle, the capacitor starts discharging. Again, in next quarter cycle from pi to 3 by 2, 3 pi by 2, at that time the diode D3 and D4 are said to be under forward bias condition. Hence the diode is said to be under diode D3 and D4 are said to be under forward bias condition. D1 and D2 is said to be under reverse bias condition. Due to the forward bias condition of D3 and D4, the capacitor starts again, it starts charging, and in the next quarter cycle, again in the next quarter cycle, the capacitor starts discharging due to the diode D1 and D2 are said to be under reverse bias condition. The charging and discharging taking place from both the diodes, that is from D1 and D2 and also from D3 and D4. Hence, by making this operation, the capacitor blocks the AC contents. Thus, actually, it blocks the AC contents and it will give a pure DC output. This is how the capacitor filter actually works, and the output of the capacitor filter is given to the load resistance. This is all about C filter, and if you come for the CLC filter or pi filter, here The pipe filter actually it consists of two capacitors, that is capacitor C1 and capacitor C2. And along with this, it consists of the inductor L. This is also called as choke. Along with this, the Rx is the winding resistance which is associated with the inductor circuit. That is, along with this inductor, the Rx is the winding resistance which is associated with that acts as a choke. Here, during with the input which we are getting from the rectifier output, that is this input from the rectifier output, that is here which we have connected the circuit is almost it is a bridge rectifier circuit. Here in this bridge rectifier circuit we are going to get the output as DC. This output of the rectifier is made input for the filter circuit, that is the for pipe filter circuit we are giving the output of the rectifier, that is a bridge rectifier circuit. If this capacitor, if the input of the bridge rectifier circuit is given to the capacitor C1, this capacitor C1 which offers very low reactance path for the AC content. This capacitor C1 which acts as a very low reactance for the AC component, it blocks the AC component here. And along with this, the inductor circuit, that is L, that is the choke, which offers having a very high resistance to AC content and very low resistance to DC component. And it blocks the AC component and which doesn't make allow to the load. It blocks a AC content, it gives only a DC component and it allows for the load. This is the another capacitor, that is C2, which allows the remaining AC through it and filters the AC content which is present in that, and it will gives almost a pure DC for the load. The ripple factor is called a pi filter, that is root 2 divided by 8 omega cube L into C1 C2 into RL. It's all about the capacitor, filter and pi filter. Let me come for the today's session, that is the regulator definition. The voltage regulator is simply an electronic or electrical device which can sustain the voltage of power supply within a suitable limits. Means voltage regulator is a device which maintains the constant output voltage irrespective of any changes in the input load condition as well as the output load variation. The regulators actually provide a constant and smooth DC supply with no ripples. Ripples means AC content which is present in the DC output. That is considered as ripples. Actually, the regulators provide a constant as well as smooth DC supplies with no ripples. This is the regulator circuit. For this circuit, we are going to have varying input, that is V in, and this is the regulator circuit, and we're going to get a stable output. Here we are giving varying input and we are getting a stable output for the load through the voltage regulators. The voltage regulator IC7805. This is the one of the series of IC78 series XS. The voltage regulator IC7805 is actually a member of 78XS series of voltage regulator ICs. It is a fixed and a linear voltage regulator. For 7805 IC, it is a plus 5 voltage of DC regulated power supply is needed. This regulator IC is also adds a provision of heat sinks. The input voltage to this voltage regulator can be up to about 35 volts. ಅಂದ್ರೆ the voltage regulator IC7805 is actually a member of 78XS series the member. ಇದು ಒಂದು ವೋಲ್ಟೇಜ್ 78XS series ದ member ಯಾವುದು voltage regulator IC7805. It is a fixed for linear voltage regulator. Andre it gives a constant linear voltage regulated output. For 7805 IC, plus 5 DC regulated power supply is needed. Okay? 5 volts DC supply is 7805 IC ಗೆ ಸಾಕು. This regulator is also adds a provision of ಇದು heat sink ಗೆ provision ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ the input voltage ಈ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಟರ್ಗೆ ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಡ್ ಫಾರ್ 35 ವೋಲ್ಟ್ಸ್ವರೆಗೂ ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು ಅಪ್ ಟು 35 ವೋಲ್ಟ್ಸ್. ಹಿಯರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದಿಸ್ pin connection. Let me check what is the pin connection for this LM7805 IC. This is the LM7805 IC. Here in this IC we're going to have three pins, that is pin 1 input pin, pin number 1 that is for input, pin number 2 this is for ground, pin number 3 this is for output. Here the function of this pin number 1, first we go for pin number 1 that is for given for input. The pin number 1 actually it performs the input voltage. It is mainly it is there for to provide an input voltage. It should be in the range of 7 volts to 35 voltage. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪಿನ್ ನಂಬರ್ 1 ನಮಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ ವೋಲ್ಟೇಜ್ ನ ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದರ ರೇಂಜ್ ಬಂದು 7 ವೋಲ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ 35 ವೋಲ್ಟ್ಸ್ ವರೆಗೂ ಇರಬೇಕು. The voltage unregulated voltage is given to the pin for regulation. Unregulated voltage ನ ನಾವು ಈ ಪಿನ್ ಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು regulated output ನ ತಗೋತೀವಿ. ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? And the function of this pin is to give the input voltage. It's just to give an input voltage. Along with that, in this pin we have connected one capacitor which is connected for terminal 1 or a pin number 1. It is used to cancel the inductive effects due to the long distribution leads. The pin number 1 which is connected for capacitor, it is used to cancel the inductive effect. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಪಿನ್ ನಂಬರ್ 1 ನ ನಾವು ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟರ್ಗೆ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ಆ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟರ್ ಇಂಡಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ನ ಇಂಡಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಸಿ ಕಾಂಪೊನೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇಂಡಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ನ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸಲ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಪಿನ್ ನಂಬರ್ 1. And again the pin number 2 is given for ground. In order to get an output and as well as an input, this pin is equally and neutral, that is 0 volts. Pin number 2 ನ ನಾವು ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಔಟ್ಪುಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಕಲಿ ಈಕ್ವಲಿ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಲ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ 0 volts. And pin number 3 now which we have given for output ಆಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀವಿ. This pin used to take the regulated output. It will give around 5 volts, that is from 4.5 volts to 5.2 volts. This capacitor pin number 3 is also connected to capacitor which is used to improve the output voltage by making the transient response. Pin number 3 ನ ನಾವು ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟರ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ to improve the output voltage under the transient response, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕ್ವಿಕ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗಲಿ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನೇ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೂ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಔಟ್ಪುಟ್ ನ ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಲಿ ಅಂತ ಪಿನ್ ನಂಬರ್ 3 ಗೆ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟರ್ ನ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟರ್ C2. And here this LM7805 is connected to the bridge rectifier circuit and also for the filter circuit. With this LM7805 is actually connected to filter circuit and also a load. The input from the filter is given to the LM7805 as an input. The output of filter is given to the input as LM7805 IC. Here, this LM7805 is connected to the bridge rectifier circuit, along with that a filter circuit. In this circuit, actually, if you want to get an output voltage of nearly about 5 volts, you have to give supply nearly the input voltage in the range of 7 to 20 volts. If you want to connect, if you want to get an output of 5 volts, you have to give input as 7 to 20 volts. Then only you are going to get an output as 5 volts. These are all the operating voltages of various ICs, that is 7809, 7812, and 7905 and 7912. Let me check what is the output voltage for these ICs. The 78 for the 7809 IC, we're going to have the output voltage of 8 volts. 7812, we're going to have the output voltage 12 volts. For 7905, we're going to have output voltage as minus 5 volts. 7912, we're going to have output voltage as minus 12 volts. The outcome of this session is to understand. At the end of this session, the students will be able to understand the regulator definition, working of 7805 voltage regulator, operating voltages of 7809, 7812, 7905, and 7912. Let us move on to MCQs, that is multiple choice questions. The first question is, voltage regulators require the option that are given. Option A, only line regulation. Option B, only load regulation. Option C, a constant load. Option D, load and line regulation. The option that is directly given, that is option D as answer, that is load and line regulation. Voltage regulators requires load and line regulation. Let me move on to the second question. That is, voltage regulators keeps a constant dash output voltage when the input or load varies within the limits. The options that are given: option A DC, option B AC, option C ripple, option D both AC and DC. Let me check the answer what it is. Option A, that is DC. Voltage regulators keep a constant DC output voltage when the input or load varies within the limits. The next question, that is third question. The output voltage of a regulated power supply is affected by which of the following factors? That is the option that are given. Option A, input voltage. Option B, load current. Option C, temperature. Option D, all of the above. Let me check the answer. It is none than all of the above. That is option D, input voltage, load current, and temperature. Let me move on to fourth question. That is, which among the following performance of the parameter is called the change in line voltage with specified range at a constant load current? The options that are given: line regulation, load regulation, temperature stability factor, option D, ripple factor. Let me check the answer for this question. The option is line regulation. And the last question, that is fifth question, which among the following are regarded as 3-pin voltage regulator ICs? Options that are given: option A, fixed voltage regulators. Option B, adjustable voltage regulators. Option C, both A and B. Option D, none of the above. Let me check the answer for this. Option C, both A and B. Hope you all understood this session. Thank you. Thank you all.